Rich Rodriguez, former coach at Michigan, coach at Arizona. Well, his son, Rhett Rodriguez, who was a graduate transfer from Arizona, where he played with his dad, for his dad, to UL Monroe, University of Louisiana Monroe. Well, it turns out he was injured pretty badly, so badly that he's in the ICU. And the only thing you can find is that they say he was admitted with severe trauma to his chest, right? And again, guys, this is all just speculation because there's not stuff out there. This is all entertainment. But they're saying he has a collapsed lung. So let's just go through what I think may have happened with this guy, right? What may be happening and why he's on a ventilator in the ICU. Right, so if you get severe trauma to your chest, whether it's motor vehicle accident, whether you're hit and struck by something, whether you're a football player who might get struck by another football player in the chest, that's a lot of force, right? So when you have a lung injury that bad, most likely what's happened is you've fractured a bunch of ribs, upper chest, you may have fractured your collarbone, okay? That energy was transferred to your lungs, so you have a lung contusion, a bruise, right? And if you have multiple fractured ribs, you could have something called a flail chest, right? So your rib cages they expand as you inhale, and they go back down as you exhale. If you have a flail chest, that doesn't happen, right? Okay, so you're not really able to inflate that lung. Now remember, I'm speculating, okay? This could be the worst thing, right? So, but he's on a ventilator, so it's likely the worst thing happened. So he may have multiple fractured ribs, he may have a flail chest. That's what happens when you really have severe trauma to your chest. And he needs to get that lung expanded. This is a very dangerous situation, you know? So this young man is in the ICU, he's getting ventilatory support. Pray for this brother. Probably going to get through it because he's a young, tip-top shaped guy. But this is a severe injury. What are they going to do? Well, you know, like I said, I can't speculate on what the injuries are. If he has a fractured clavicle, they'll fix the clavicle. You can always fix rib fractures, but if they have multiple rib fractures, I didn't realize it, but they actually can put little tiny plates on some of these ribs. But either way, he's got to come off the ventilator. At some point, and it's gonna be a long recovery for this guy. He's out for the season. He's not. I don't think he's coming back for this. You know, this is not going to happen. Man, poor guy. That's a rough injury. I can't imagine. You know, and wow, yeah.
If you have a flail chest injury, what do they do to make it so the lungs can expand again?
Oh, that's why you're on the ventilator, right? So
I mean, but what's the healing process for? I mean, like, what has to happen for him to be able to breathe on his own?
Well, so part of the reason he's not breathing on his own is because the lung has been so has that contusion, has been so damaged, it's collapsed a little bit. What the ventilator is doing is it's inflating the lung for him, so it's pushing oxygen into the lung, blowing up all those alveoli, the air sacs in the lungs, which are not able to inflate because the negative pressure is not being generated because if he has the flail chest, the negative pressure is not sufficing. But even if you have rib fractures, you can have a partially collapsed lung, it's called a pneumothorax, right? Because you're not inspiring all the way, you're not expanding your chest all the way because it's painful. As you can imagine, not being able to inflate one part of your one of your lungs. It can really affect you because you obviously can't oxygenate as well, and that's a serious thing. So they are going to just have to wait until his body goes through the stages of getting through the injury to his lungs, and that'll happen. They'll see that as they have to decrease his dependence on the ventilator, right? And then eventually he'll be extubated. And then after that, you've got to fix the bones if there's bone to be fixed, or let those bones heal. When you have rib fractures, they don't move all over the place. They're still pretty close to each other, so the bones will heal. They form a big bone scar, and those ends of those bones will heal. If you have a clavicle fracture, they'll probably fix that one, because we fix a lot of clavicle fractures now, and especially in an athlete like him. I imagine that if there's a clavicle fracture, it might be a pretty nasty one, so that would probably be another reason to fix it, if that's one of the fractures that happen. But I think he probably has a flail chest and a lung contusion. That's why he's on the ventilator. So pray for that, brother.